welcome to the WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1. It is the round of 16 that we're hitting into. It's been a blast so far. I'm Joshua Gray, call sign Clutch. Joining me on the desk, Andre Hengschwa, call sign Greetorp. And further down the line, we have Randall Rookhill Holcomb to bring all the action to you, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. Looking forward to it. We saw some great matches last night, Greetorp, and some of these teams that we're going to see tonight, hopefully a repeat for some of their talent.
Definitely so. I'm really looking forward to this upcoming qualifier because we've seen just a build-up in the North American scene. WGLNA really hit the spot for I think a lot of these teams, and it really took everything to another level in terms of just getting organized, getting the fundamentals down, and really coming to play. A lot of these teams that were in the WGLNA Season 1, I think a lot of people in the scene said, hey, I can compete with that. Let me go ahead and try my luck. It
was precedence that was set from Season 1.
Yes.
And another precedent that was set in history, in this day in history, in 1915. A prototype tank named Little Willie rolls out of the assembly line in England. Little Willie was far from an overnight success, troubled with problems. It weighed 14 tons, got stuck in trenches, and crawled over rough terrain at only 2 miles per hour. However, improvements were made to the original prototype, and tanks eventually transformed military battlefields as well as video game battlefields.
Did you know tanks went as far as Leonardo da Vinci? He actually came up with these. They weren't quite like as obviously not machinery,
but the principle behind it of
correct.
An armored, movable cannon.
Yes, Leonardo da Vinci created objects such as that.
And a flying machine and a multi-turret cannon system. It created a lot of things.
Unbelievable. Him and Tesla, man, they blow me away.
Yeah. And more and more their invention are just kind of rediscovered too of how far back their expertise and their genius went. And we're seeing a lot of really neat things in the technological world. Again, to see all these different teams and players get together to compete online and also in the live finals that'll be happening later on in the year when we are able to announce that for money, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, $100,000 prize pool last season and this season. Just as you said, Greetorp, a lot of these teams see the prize just within their grasp, and they definitely want to compete. And that's why we're in qualifier number 1, and we will go into qualifier number 2 the following week. Let's go ahead and break down how the season overview pretty much looks. So we have 8 teams from Season 1 that have filled 8 spots in Season 2. Those 8 teams are Fulcrum Gaming, Simp, Wreak Havoc, Simple Tankers, Scurry Hard, River of Blood, Nerve, and Cunningham's. Each one of those teams deserves to be there, and I look forward to seeing their stories evolve even more. The 2 teams that were placed from the Major League Summer Championship that was hosted by Wargaming is Burnell Empires and Hammer Time. Hammer Time is a team that we have seen before, along with Burnell Empires, at least in the qualifiers or in other skirmishes that Wargaming has hosted. 4 teams were able to be placed through regulation. The regulation matches happened earlier this week. Those 4 teams are Simplistic, Cap Fast Nation, Game Over, and War and Peace. Finally, the 2 teams for the 2 spots that are open will be determined via the qualifiers. Qualifier number 1 happens this week, and Sunday night will be the culmination of this week, and that'll be the final broadcast of the week to find out who's going to make it into that first spot. Qualifier number 2 will happen beginning Thursday, the 19th, and will end Sunday, the 22nd. Registration for qualifier number 2 is the 9th through the 15th. So if you're a team that did not make it through qualifier number 1 or you want to compete in qualifier number 2, make sure to sign up.
Yeah, definitely so, because there's only one more chance after this qualifier. Those that do not actually make it all the way through only have one more chance to get in for their stake at the $100,000 prize pool. So definitely get your friends together, get your group together, and get in that qualifier, because it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of great players are going to show up. And, hey, even if you don't think you're going to make it, I think it's a really valuable experience to just get some of that tournament experience under your belt.
Especially with the 7x42 format. Before we talk about that format, let's go ahead and take a look at the day's matches. Who are we going to see playing tonight? The first match that we have set up for you is KWH versus Victorious Secret. Already, I'm a fan of Victorious Secret because of the nameplay. The next teams we're going to see, Pub Stars versus High Voltage. Pub Stars did make it into the seeded top 8 from the Major League Championship Series spring tournament that happened, but they did drop out. They were replaced by Bear Huggers, but they're back with a vengeance. High Voltage we saw last night. They performed very well. Same with Refuse to Die. They participate in season one. Saw them again last night. They'll be up against Super Amigos. This is a team don't have much information about, but I look forward to see how they're going to be able to play. Siposaurus Rex versus Forgotten Legionnaires. I feel that is going to be a huge battle between those two well played and well-talented teams.
Yeah, staying on this, High Voltage, Refuse to Die, Siposaurus Rex, Forgotten Legionnaires, as you said, Clutch. We saw them yesterday, but we didn't get to see Pub Stars. Now, Pub Stars going into this, I know we talked about favorites and everything. Pub Stars is the team that is considered the favorite to win this qualifier. I've been talking to a lot of people. They're saying, yeah, Pub Stars, they're the team that is just considered way and above a lot of these other qualifying teams. I don't know, though. What I saw yesterday, I was really, really impressed with a lot of these teams. They were showing a lot of movement, which I love, a lot of mobility, high-actioned, good fundamental play that I think can make it through the qualifiers. Randall?
I completely agree with that. I like Victorious Secret, like Clutch, but Pub Stars is actually a fantastic team. You see players like Red Paradise and Indy. Also, there's players like Yankee, who, if you are a fan of Clan Wars and you don't know who Yankee is, you might be living in Africa. So it's a very impressive lineup to see from a team, and I'm on board with the Pub Stars going to win this all.
Adding more to what you're saying about the experience of playing the 7x42, breaking down the format of how that works. 7x42 is 7 tanks on one side. 42 tier points is the max tier point amount you can have. Last time, unfortunately, one of the teams brought 48 tier points. They were automatically disqualified for that battle number one. It was a loss for them in battle number one, and the victory went to Siposaurus Rex, I believe. It was them versus the Black Watch. The Black Watch brought too many. So you have a max of tier points of 42. The top tank tier that you can use is 8. And so we see a lot of 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 1s. That is pretty much a standard that we would say in the 7x42 format. Yep. In order to win, you have to capture the enemy flag or destroy all the enemy tanks or have an 8-tier advantage at the end of the time. There's 10 minutes for each map. There are multiple maps in the map pool, as we have seen. And I'm looking forward to see how these different teams are going to progress here, because this is a best of it's a single elimination. It's a best of 5 for each of the matches here, but it's a single elimination. Once you're out of qualifier number 1 once you lose. The only way to get back into season 2 for these teams is going to be qualifier number 2. A lot of people have been reaching out to us. I got to play some tank companies with Simp and some other people earlier today, and
awesome.
And they're like, "Oh, it's so good to play with you, Clutch." And I was rocking the T32, didn't die once, multiple kills, a lot of fun. So huge shout out to everyone else playing the tank company today, but also huge shout out to everyone that follows us on Twitter at WGLNA and also on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/WGLNA, and if you want to watch the VODs, make sure to go to the website WGLNA.com. And also, if you have any questions about World of Tanks or even World of Warplanes, I was able to play a lot, especially the Xbox 360 edition, which is still in closed beta. Go ahead and send me a tweet at Clutch08, and I'll be really excited to share my information and also share my thoughts on what PAX was all about and how much fun we had at the Wargaming booth. Crazy, man. That was still, last weekend. It's already Friday. But it has been a whirlwind of time, especially watching all this tank action.
I know. Before you know it, it's October. We're going to be full-fledged into the season. I mean, time goes by fast, especially with esports. It's going to be really, really exciting times coming up in, as we close out 2013. It's going to be cool.
I know, man. And we're already in September.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't make sense.
And then I'm drafting my Halloween costume right now in my mind, how to get that ready, because that's going to be around the corner. And fall's approach. It doesn't feel like it, guys, because here in Rancho Cucamonga it's super hot, like 107 today.
Yeah.
But fall is approaching, and the culmination of a lot of big things too happening. I mean, WCG happening in November, World of Tanks being one of the headline games there. Being involved with that last year was fantastic, was amazing, and I look forward to seeing more and more of these teams building these stories here in World of Tanks and how aggressive World of Tanks has been in the esports world and how many people are really checking out this game. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get battle number 1, game number 1, match number 1 of KWH versus Victorious Secret. Stay tuned. This is WGLNA. Everybody, welcome back to the WGLNA. Thank you for joining us. Just went through a quick little intro, this day in history related to tanks. Now we almost have the game underway of KWH versus Victorious Secret.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, I do have the brackets up on my screen.
Let's take a look.
Let's just take a look at where everything is in the qualifiers right now, because we understand, we're only able to broadcast 4 or 5 matches a night, but there's a lot more than that. We have the Cazadores back here. As you can see, they've already advanced on.
Yeah, that was a bye. The first 2 teams you see in the bracket there did not show up to their first matches, so they were both DQ'd, and that's how it's going to display in the bracket. So don't get confused.
Lucky them, though.
Lucky them.
Kind of nice. Pup Stars in high voltage. We're going to be seeing them today. Ermagerd Kernavern. Looks like they got the default win as well. Tin Dragons, Refuse Die. Turtle Police going to be there, along with Bushti against Hunter x Hunter. Anyway, sorry guys, we're going to go into our first battle of the day.
That's right. It's going to be on Ensk. Let's get this started. I'm excited. Here we go. And KWH will be spawning as the red team. And the blue team will be Victorious Secret. What do we have for tank selection, Greek Torp?
1 AMX 5100, 3 IS3s, and a T69. Of course, 2 T1s for Victorious Secret. On the other side, KWH is rocking 1 5100, 3 and 4 IS3s, excuse me, with an L tractor. Looking good already for Victorious Secret, since they're up 1 tier point already. Only 6 players in the battle.
That is unfortunate, but when the ready up is called, they have 3 minutes once the map is selected in order to ready up their tanks.
Just unfortunate. Sometimes it happens, you know.
I just got updated. They only have 6 players.
Oh, wow. Only 6 players
only
registered.
6 players, so.
Well, maybe they feel like they're an elite unit, and just one more T1 Cunningham would only slow them down. I don't think that's the case.
I think they just don't have a 7th player.
Yeah, well, maybe they can hold a draft for someone to join them. But RPG in the 5100, earlier we saw him take down the cover, which is necessary. But Greek Torp, we're seeing a big push on the city side. 5 of those heavy tanks, 4 of those heavy tanks, 1 of the mediums at T69, rolling across. No tanks have been spotted so far on my mini-map, my screen, but this could be a complete push in if they're able to get that scouting in. But to the north, they do hold back their 2 T1 Cunninghams.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if there was some indicator because, as you can see on the mini-map, the whole red team is positioned over on the east side. So this is a very audacious push, especially into 4 IS3s going west side. I mean, you're just asking to be alpha down. So I really think that one of the T1s were able to see the rest of the team, and that's why they're doing such a push.
Oren McGrath in the L tractor holding back next to his flag cap is able to scout 2 of those heavy tanks moving to that position, moving across the railroads as fast as he can to try to escape to safety as the rest of his team will reset their positioning as the IS-3s and 5100s move in behind cover to get any alpha strikes they can for any of those blue tanks popping around the corner.
Oh, 1 shot, 1 kill. Ammo rack on one of the IS-3s. That's a big hit on Victorious Secret. Holy moly. That is lucky.
Wow.
That is incredibly lucky, but that's the name of the game. You get a high roll like that, get a nice penetration into that side ammo rack, and he is done. Now it is 34-41. And the flag cap did initiate for a second, but Elders of Shame is going to go up against Logic Weasel in the T1, is able to get that kill, but he's going to have to move to the south, arrest him with the Tier 8 tanks, as Mr. Keen and LHP are trying to hold down that section. Mr. Keen is taking some more damage. One more hit, he will go down 67%, or 67 HP, excuse me. But Trollstar is getting hit himself, and RPG gets the kill.
Yep, and this isn't looking good already for Victorious Secret. Even though they're down, or they're up 1 tier point, they're just so far behind. Of course, how can you really go into 4 IS-3s? That represents just so much alpha. 1 tank goes down instantly. Of course, it's a lucky shot, but I think no matter what, something like that is going to happen, especially if you're going for the flag cap in that open area. You can see Victorious Secret just getting punished so hard.
Tech Mech has taken a lot of hits in his IS-3, trying to share some HP with Battle Alum, but Elder of Shame in his IS-3 has full health, and the T-69 trying to shoot right through those 2 coal trains, but not able to get that hit. The blue base under attack from one of the red L tractors up there, trying to fight the T1.
Yep.
Jim taking some hits.
Oh yeah, Jim.
You say Gim?
Jim. But T1 against an L tractor. The T1 can burst it down pretty fast, but of course that L tractor is still hardy as well. I'm not sure what gun it brought though.
Yeah, I didn't get to check that out, but the T1 has the usual little machine gun,
yes.
And although it wouldn't be, pretty much any gun on the low tractor is viable. Although the stock gun has fantastic penetration with those gold rounds.
Yes, it does.
And he looks like he's going to be using that stock gun, but it won't do him any good because Jim just going to take him down.
Yeah, I did want to mention that the IS-3 Elder of Sham was taken out by, Edbo was taken out by Elder of Sham, evening up the score right now, and it is 25 to 16 tier points. So just like that, it gets eliminated.
And it looks like Edbo's about to come in reloaded, which means that this fight could be over in a second unless, no, he's just going to just get in the way with his 5100. This is great driving. I love it when 5100s can do this kind of thing. Just make a distraction of himself. He doesn't have any shells loaded, but look, you had an IS-3 take his attention, switch it to him, and then his allies were able to get that fantastic kill.
Yeah, just having the enemy turn its turret is already a small victory for that tank, like you mentioned, Rookhill. And now with the surround, only one tank left on the battlefield, and he's going to get completely destroyed as the rest of these shots will land against an IS-3. Trying to get a final kill against LHP 333. Will he get that shot? No, he's going to hide behind the hull of that dead tank, and there is the final shot.
Kind of crazy.
Definitely kind of crazy. Victorious Secret able to pull out all the stops in battle number 1. We'll talk more about their play style after this. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1, Victorious Secret, which is becoming a fan favorite of everyone watching because of the name. And they are able to take battle number 1 pretty swiftly against KWH besides the ammo rack happening.
Okay, I'm a little bit lost in that last battle because I did go over to the T1, so I wasn't able to see the main battle. Honestly, as well, I kind of disregarded a little bit, knowing that, the ammo rack was done. Your 5v4, even with, minus the 1 T1. 5 tier 8s against 4 tier 8s. I just figured Victorious Secret was going to go down, but what happened, Clutch?
Yeah, it was a better spread of shots and be able to land their initial shots against those IS-3s. Pretty much piecemealed them down, step by step, shot by shot. And it really wasn't a huge tactical, like, whoa, they had a great flank. It was just, all right, get those shots in, move back, get those shots in.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. At least
Sounded like fundamentals just a lot better for Victorious Secret.
Focusing your fire.
On top of that, I saw some nice reverse angling out of an IS-3. You might have to remind me who exactly that was. But there was one IS-3 that I saw reverse angling, and he bounced numerous shots. We can probably bring up the post-game stats and see that in just a second. Yeah, Andre, do that for me. And that probably was very helpful. I saw an IS-3 able to put out maybe 3 or 4 good solid hits without taking any damage in response, while we had actually an IS-3 jump out into the middle of cap and absorb all the attention, all the damage, which actually could have worked out. I wouldn't say it's the most tactically sound approach, but it worked. So if it works, I mean, it works.
Oh.
Well, it was probably Forge. He had almost 3,000 potential damage received, so he did have those bounces. Well, the next map is going to be on Himmelsdorf, and we saw a lot of hill play yesterday. I'm looking forward to see what type of play we're going to have here, and the counter of the hill play, the western side, or the tank alley approach. Let's go ahead and find out battle number 2 on Himmelsdorf. And here we go to the south side, the red team. It is KWH. And spawning to the north, the blue, it is Victorious Secret, who's up 1 battle. That IS-3 I mentioned, his name is LHP333. Forge was his tag for the clan. And what do we have for tank selection?
Same exact lineup coming out of KWH. 4 IS-3s and a 5100. Oh, look at this. They actually have a 7th member. So TechMech will go ahead and join up in KWH. He's going to be rocking the medium 1. That's the largest tier 1 tank you could possibly. It's like a Rhino.
Yeah.
On the other side, 1 5100, 3 IS-3s, and a T69. Same exact lineup for Victorious Secret.
Someone was once telling me that the medium M1 cannot get clipped out by a T1 Cunningham. Now,
really?
I never verified this myself, but it seems reasonable.
And
it just seems reasonable.
Medium 1 is a British tank, correct?
Yeah. You're watching the red team, aren't you?
Yes.
Clutch, how much health does that thing have?
140 HP.
140 HP.
And an L Tractor has 130, as we see in the distance with Orin. But TechMech 1 is not moving. He's simply scouting out the tank alley on the G line, while the rest of his teammates are spread in a defensive position for a western approach. Trollstar, Elder of Sham, and Namor are able to spot Allen, the T69, and some shots do ring out from across the way, and they are able to land a couple against Zen 10th, as Allen and LHP 333 are trying to get around that corner to line up some more of those shots. But Elder Sham, the only one that's hit. Another shot goes out and hits Namor. Namor taking a lot of hits, and Elder Sham and Trollstar trying to share that HP going back and forth around that corner. Trollstar trying to push in a little bit further. This is going to be a huge gamble for him as he gets closer and closer to that edge, and he could set up a great flank. But if any of these tanks are able to spot him through the buildings, they could fall back, clean him up if he overcommits to the other side of that building structure.
I think Trollstar is overcommitted right now. This is the opportunity for Victorious Secret to overmatch 5-on-3 while the 2 other tanks have to come up, and they are going to see that answer as you see 3 tanks are going around, and they're going to focus down Namor.
Still, Edbo and Allen are out in the open, so they can get taken down. Allen down to 153 hit points, but it looks like Namor is the one that's going to be taken out, traded for Allen over there, and it is tied up. 1 tier 8 kill for each side, but it is really questionable positioning for KWH.
Trollstar and Elder Sham in a brawl with Miss Kareen, or Miser Keen, excuse me. Miser Keen in brawl mode against Elder Sham. Trollstar pulling back, but Miser Keen is not going to fully commit into Elder Sham as he waits for the rest of his teammates to try to get the surround to the south and to the other side. Elder Sham lands one more shot, but X the 10th moves in, covering Mr. Keen, but he takes a huge blow to his side armor, and Trollstar is trying to get out of there as X the 10th is able to get the final shot against Elder Sham, and there goes the remaining IS-3.
Right, Ebo's going to take that over on the other side. LHP 333 is over here. Ooh, it looks like RPG was able to get go down to those IS-3s, but now looks like the only tier 8 left is Battlum in his IS-3, down to 755 hit points. And he's now going to be surrounded by multiple IS-3s.
This brawl mode from Victorious Secret, again, in their favor, using the IS-3s to trade blows and also to share that HP. And there is the final kill against the tier 8s. The only tank left alive is that medium one, or excuse me, is the L Tractor. Medium one is dead as well.
Yep. And he's going to take cover behind the little supplies and base, but he doesn't have enough time. Poor guy.
And the AMX 5100 is able to clean him up. Victorious Secret, utilizing the power of their tanks and such quick brawls, is able to take battle number 2. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1. It's Friday. We have 2 more days after this to determine who will fill one of the remaining spots for Season 2 group play. Great games so far we've seen from Victorious Secret. I think they're going to take the next one.
I think so. I mean, it came down to 2 brawls in Game 1 and Game 2, and both of those went to Victorious Secret. They just know how to operate those brawls a lot better. I'm not seeing absolute crystal clear, pristine play, but it is definitely enough to take out their opponent's KWH.
It's definitely enough, and that's all you need to get that victory. Randall, I see it getting ready over on the telestrator. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I just felt like I wanted to detail that the one little thing that gave Victorious Secret their advantage in that battle. And so if we jump into my screen, you remember when that push happened, we had 3, was it 2 IS-3s 5100, or was it 3 IS-3s? 3 IS-3s push right up this 3 line. And when they did that, Victorious Secret hesitated for a moment, but then they realized all they had to do was push around these corners, and they had their enemies surrounded. When they did that, it was 5 versus 3, because the 2 tanks in the south were effectively out of the fight for long enough to the point where it was decided elsewhere on the map.
And we talked about Trollstar moving in too far.
Yes.
And overcommitting. Now, Trollstar, potential damage received, 3,240. So he was able to bounce a lot of, enough shots to stay alive just long enough to do a little bit more damage.
Plenty of shots.
But was able to hold out with the rest of his team. This could be the final battle for Victorious Secret to take it and move on into the bracket. We're going to find out what's going to happen on Ruinberg. Let's jump into the game. Time to roll out. On the north side is the red team KWH, and to the south is the blue Victorious Secret. Up 2 battles, and what do we have for tanks, Greetor?
150, 100, 2 IS-3s and 2 69s for Victorious Secret. On the other side, we have very similar lineup to before. Instead of 4 IS-3s, it's a T69 that gets traded out for one of them. But that's about it. So all of these guys staying on the same tanks. And the IS-3 is obviously really good at going into the western city area. So what does the opposite team do? What does Victorious Secret do? They will go into the east side.
Into that Delta Village. But they're not obviously going all the way to Delta Village because it is disadvantageous for them to try to push from all the way to the south. The top usually has that advantage of getting to the Delta Village first, but they are not taking that advantage as KWH is holding back on the edge, the crossroads in that E6 line, that E6 section of the map.
What's
and waiting for
interesting,
anything to spot.
what's very interesting, Coach, is actually they're kind of set up in an ambush position. They're trying to ambush Victorious Secret if they were to attempt to take the shortest possible route to the Delta Village.
Exactly.
Notice that the IS-3s are on that angle. Now, they don't have great view range, but they have just enough that if Victorious Secret were to do that, they would spot it. However, it looks like Victorious Secret took a different route and has gotten all the way to the Delta Village safely.
The more comprehensive route, the one that really gets you over there very, very safely. And now they're going to be able to isolate and battle him over here. He's down to 571 health out of 1350 in his T69. He definitely needs to stay alive because that T69, the one good thing about it is the synergy with not only the AMX 5100, but also the IS-3s. I mean, 3 IS-3 shots, and then you have that T69 shot. It really, really does help out a lot. With the fast auto load, or excuse me, the fast reload, you're able to do a lot in that T69.
And Battlewim is spotted again by both Allen and
One
the
more
IS-3.
shot and he'll go down.
Oh.
Cleaned up as he got isolated.
That is great positioning out of Victorious Secret. They recognize so much about what their opponents are doing, and they're capitalizing on so many little things, overmatching these tanks that are just so cut off.
LHP is going to get one more shot against RPG, but X, the 10th, and the IS-3 takes down RPG as more tanks are falling on KWH. And already the Tier 8 advantage is in favor of Victorious Secret. It's all just a matter of time as they're able to lock down more and more shots on the 3 remaining IS-3s and the 1 L tractor.
Yeah, if you can see the mini-map, and all the red tanks have moved over to the bottom right, and that's a really weird angle to take, in my opinion. I mean, they were trying to get around and get a good flank on their opponents, but you're not really going to get a good flank with those tanks. Those IS-3s are just so slow to actually do that type of movement, so you have to hit it front on, and unfortunately those IS-3s now, it's like they weren't even in the game.
Yeah, but Logic Weasel is going to make his way back to Cap in the T1 as these IS-3s roll up on the enemy. Will he be able to stop Cap? He does stop, and he's going to try and back up to kill Oren Margath.
Trollstar is south of the TIE Fighter as the rest of the blue team that is still spotted on the side of the red is unloading on this IS-3. Caught way out in the open, right in the courtyard. No tactical advantage was present for him to be that far out. Now he's trying to back up as fast as he can. 166 HP left on his tank as Namor and Elder of Shame try to line some shots up, coming across the way to cover the retreat of Trollstar, but nothing has landed for him so far.
Meanwhile, back at Cap, Logic Weasel did stop Cap, and Oren Margarth is alive at 1 hit point. This is important because you notice how this screen is happening. KWH is screening for that T1. They want him to get the Cap points, but it doesn't look like they're going to win. But they just wanted to buy enough time, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to because Victorious Secret is doing such a fantastic job of just breaking down these IS-3s.
And here comes the surround. Now one more shot, he will go down, and they're trying to line up. The last shot is Edbo 7 lines it up, and Elder of Sham gets taken out by the remaining forces. And there's the final kill. Victorious Secret takes it in a sweeping motion. I don't even know if they broke a sweat up against KWH.
I don't think so. I mean, that was such an easy set for them. That last battle, they were able to isolate again a couple of tanks, the T69, the 5100, and as soon as you do that, it's 3 IS-3s alone. IS-3s, they're great, hard stats, but they need that support. They need to be able to have that, nice autoloader to clean up a lot of the shots because you don't want to be doing these IS-3s that do, 400 damage on, a 100, 200 hit point tank. That's a lot of overkill, potential damage that could have been placed elsewhere.
That's right, and also the mobility, because this map is a hybrid map. You have the open fields and you have the city. And then IS-3 from Trollstar way out in the center like that. If he's trying to get into the city itself, to get some of those shots into the Delta Village from a different standpoint, yes, I can totally see why he'd want to go through the courtyard. Slow, when you're getting shut out, obviously continually tracked, and not an autoloader. The IS-3, if it was a T-69, I wonder if it could have been a little bit different. But again, Victorious Secret was so well honed in their positioning and getting those shots across. It was tough to watch.
Yeah, it looks like they were very organized this time around. I'm looking forward to see how they do. Of course, we weren't able to accurately see and get a good picture of how good they actually are. They need a tougher opponent, and I think that's going to come as the qualifiers moves on.
So we want to tip our hats to KWH for signing up for the qualifier. Hopefully we'll see them in qualifier number 2. And now they can say that they can participate in WGLNA, even though they went up against a pretty strong team.
Yeah, let's take a look at the bracket real quick. It's not updated, but we can at least see where they're going to fit into things. So you can see Victorious Secret does move on against KWH. They're going to be playing the winner of Bushti and Hunter x Hunter, which that's going to be a very interesting match. Of course, we were able to see Hunter x Hunter yesterday. They looked really, really nice. A great Spanish-speaking team. Right after this, we're going to be moving to Pub Stars versus High Voltage. It's going to be right over here in the upper bracket. The winner of that goes up against Cazadores. Not really a lucky draw right there, because Cazadores are definitely one of the stronger teams, I would say, in this qualifier. But still, we're looking at Pub Stars for this upcoming match, because they're the ones that are considered the big favorites.
Cazadores is also one of the most unpredictable teams, what we saw during the season number 1. We're going to take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, a couple more thoughts from Rookhill about that series, and after that, we're going to get ready for the next match, Pub Stars versus High Voltage. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the WGLNA. Welcome back to the WGLNA Season 2, qualifier number 1. It is Friday. We are in the round of 16, and already we have another team that has advanced. Victorious Secret. I am Joshua Gray, call sign Clutch, joined by Andre Grietorp, Heng Shua, and also all the way to the far right, we have Randall Rookhill-Holcomb. And Randall, I want to get your thoughts on the ambush, or the faked ambush at least, trying to set up that ambush in Ruinberg.
Yeah. So what he's talking about is he's talking about KWH did on the north of Ruinberg. And so if we jump into my screen, I've already detailed a few little things just to start this out. Now, I detailed the movements out of Victorious Secret. That's what you see at the bottom in blue, those blue arrows. That is Victorious Secret's movements. Now, what we saw at KWH is they took some IS-3s and they put them in that's E6. And from there, they actually have an angle on the fields. They were hoping that their opponent would come through the camping grounds and then through the fields to get to the Delta Village, which is the fastest way from the south. It's still slower than from the north. So that ambush would have worked if their opponent would have gone through the fields and the camping grounds. And that would have been especially effective, because then 2 tanks from the Delta Village could have come on in after that an ambush would have stalled any kind of push somewhere in the fields. Now, once their enemy would have been in the fields, it would have been fish in a barrel. And that would have been devastating for Victorious Secret. A great win for KWH, but we didn't see that. I just wanted to, get how that strat was, what that mentality was going into the battle, and how it could have been so effective and well planned out. Just plans like that can fall short if your enemy just takes the slightest different route. Look at the difference between the 2 routes. They were 100 meters apart. That was the route difference, just 100 meters further back, and that is the difference between what was a victory and a defeat in that battle.
Yeah, and it's not really unreasonable to say that the white line, the white path that you drew, is not within the range of Victorious Secret, because if we think about it, there were no 1390s. There were no really fast scouting tanks that can go up and just see a movement like that. So for Victorious Secret, they very well could have done a run like that and be technically very safe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they did the more passive, comprehensive route. Still being, I shouldn't say passive, but a little bit safer. Went to the Delta Village, and it was 2 tanks just caught out in the worst possible place they could be against 5 tier 8s.
Yeah, and when that happened, there could have been a better response out of those IS-3s. We probably could have seen a move just probably to push up with those IS-3s instead of going to the south. When that happened, they left 2 tanks out to dry when they probably could have tried to salvage the situation with IS-3s and alpha down a T-69 or a 5100 with just the great damage you can get out of IS-3s.
Don't get me wrong, butt shots are really great on tanks, but it's all the same if you're just damaging your opponents. Of course, module damage does help out a little bit, but you need to go ahead and really empower your other 2 tanks, your 5100 and, of course, your T-69 that are just stranded there inside of that city. Got to help them out.
This reminds me of any team that is new to this type of format of they lock in a strategy. Okay, on Ruinberg, this is what we're going to do. We want to take the north side. Executed great, but their team that they were up against didn't fall for it. They didn't fall into their plan. It wasn't all according to plan. And that's where you get the more experienced teams that are flexible. They have audibles to their strategies. They have decisive tactics, even when it comes down to 6 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And that comes down to very, very honed-in practice play. And KWH, if you're watching, again, thanks for playing. But talk to some of the other teams that are more experienced. See what they do in those type of scenarios, those situations, because you need to be flexible at any moment on the battlefield. But, hey, if I was still new to World of Tanks or if I was new to 7x42, I probably would have done something similar. Say, all right, well, they all are going to the Delta Village, guys. Let's lock this in. And when it didn't happen, that's when everything fell apart.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. So, you know, it's unfortunate for KWH, but congratulations to Victorious Secret for moving on. As we said before, they're going to be matching up against the winners of, what did I say, Hunter
by Hunter.
Yes, Hunter by Hunter.
And the other team was
Bushti.
Bushti. I want to say
Buschetti or
Buschetti, yeah.
Bruschetta.
Or what is that bread? You get cheese and stuff on it?
And tomatoes?
Yeah.
Bruschetta.
Is it bruschetta?
I have no clue.
Bruschetta? That doesn't sound right.
Sounds right, I think.
Okay. Well, it's reminding me of that. Maybe
it's
because
like
I'm hungry.
tomatoes, garlic.
Bruschetta.
Bruschetta.
Bruschetta. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Bruschetta. And I want to say bruschetta for some reason. Just like I want to say Zen 10th on one of the tanks, but it was an X the 10th. But it was like I thought it was a word play, like a Greek Cyrillic language play, and so I'm trying to overpronounce it, and I realized, no, it's just X the 10th. Just like Maudable instead of Moadib, who's probably watching. Shout out to you, sir. Skirmish number 7, man. That was a long time ago.
We still call him Maudable sometimes.
Still call him Maudable.
We do that just for you. Just because you.
All right. Well, I better tell a
a
story real quick
skirmish.
in case people are wondering. So I was commentating Skirmish number 7 for World of Tanks for Wargaming months ago, like over 6 months ago. And it was shot blockers versus Gong Fu. And I was commentating the match, and one of the team's players' names was Moadib. But how it was spelled out, I didn't pronounce it that way, so I just called him Maudable, because that's what just came out.
Maudable.
Yeah.
Maudable.
And that's not his name, but we actually like it more, so we're going to start calling him that.
Yeah.
Rukil, you were on the team.
I was there, man. I was there in that battle. You were commentating it. I watched it later. I was really happy to have someone finally commentate a battle that I'd been in, because I was like, I've been doing all these tournaments, and it was fun to see you do that solo. By the way, he did it solo.
Oh, thanks,
which
man.
is a lot of work.
Well, I have you guys here, so my job's easy, sort of.